There we go. Can you crochet me something like that?
Maybe the nice bikini?
Yeah, maybe not. Welcome to A Cup of Tea with Bree, where I get to know some of the country's most amazing parents, incredible business people, and inspiring characters. Now, today's guest is an entrepreneur dedicated to working with leaders, teams, educators, and parents to unleash their potential. Now, for over 20 years, she has brought to life groundbreaking applied psychology, social cognitive neuroscience, and functional neuroeconomics, and fuses it with applied practice. So please welcome Shelley Wild.
Oh, thank you.
How are you?
I'm really well, thank you. Really well.
So
thank you for having me.
I love having a cup of tea with you.
I love your teacups.
It's usually a wine, so this is tea, everybody. No,
it is. We promise.
We promise it is tea. It's 9 o'clock in the morning, so we won't drink wine at this hour. So I want to get to know you. I know you quite well, but I want to share your story, your journey, and all about you. So can you share with us a bit about your childhood? Where were you born? About your siblings,
born in regional Australia in Cairns, and very proud of that. Really loved the fact that, I grew up in regional Australia. And I'm the eldest of 3 kids, mum and dad, and I think we've had a fairly standard upbringing. And but really great experiences and really nice family time.
So you've got a younger brother and sister?
Younger sister, yes, and I'm the eldest.
So a younger brother and younger sister,
yes,
and you're the eldest.
I am. And
So
got
what does it mean
all
being
the
the eldest?
trademarks of being the eldest.
And what are they, Shelley?
Bossy, opinionated. Ask my sister and brother.
Yeah. I love it. So what did you want to be when you grew up then? Because obviously what you do now, it's a mouthful for a start for someone like me. But it's very, very impressive. But
the thing that's been consistent my whole life has been teaching or educating. I've wanted to be a teacher since I was, knee high. And Mum used to say that, as soon as the dog and my sister could sit down and be still, I would get out the chalkboard and draw stuff and, make them listen or something.
Yes.
I didn't really understand what all that was then, but I never changed my mind even through high school. I just always wanted to be a teacher. And I became a teacher and I've been educating ever since. So I do it in different fields, but the theme of my life is to get complex things across to people in a way that they appreciate and they can apply it. So that's been the big theme, educating.
Wow. So you're a teacher from when?
I was a teacher early on. As soon as I left university, I went out teaching and worked my way through the schooling system and became a principal quite young. And stayed in that field for about 12 years and then transitioned into business. So,
wow. Tell me about life in business.
Oh, I don't know if I chose it or it chose me, but I always wanted to be an educator, but I didn't know about business and it hadn't been introduced to me when I was at high school. So I sort of stumbled across it, I think. And when I did, I thought, this sort of is easy and interesting to me. I like marketing, I like promoting, I like winning client work, I like delivering. It just sort of fell into this space where I could keep educating but sell those services to clients. So here I am.
Wow.
Yes.
So tell me how you met your husband, because you've been married for how long?
Oh my gosh, we were introduced by mutual friends and we met later on in our sort of our years, but we hit it off straight away, and he's everything I'm not. And we're really good partnership actually. So we're good partners in business and good partners in life, which is really I feel very, very blessed.
And you got a beautiful daughter as well.
We do. We had her late as well. I woke up at 44 and went, oh my gosh, I haven't had a baby. I quickly better have one. I'm a recovering overachiever. And yes, I'm really thankful that we could have her. So very, very blessed. Yes.
And I don't believe you're a recovering overachiever. I think you're still in that realm. It's pretty hard to control, I think.
True.
So tell me about your business today.
So it's an evolution of a couple of things, I think, and I think it's still evolving. We did a big pivot a couple of years ago, and I think we're about to sort of reset. But in a nutshell, we basically take a whole heap of knowledge around human behaviour and deliver it out to workplaces for their workforces to have a more humanistic approach to what it is that they do, building better, more capable teaming, better decision making. And we do it in really simple, applied ways. That's our specialty, is how to get something sticky in an organisation quickly and tomorrow, and applied practice. So, and all of my skills as an educator come in. I'm really committed to making sure people understand it, and if they don't, working out a way that they can. So designed learning and getting learning to be, swallowed whole by the human, and then, sustained in the organisation is my big thing. So,
what do you see most business owners or organisations are doing wrong with their people?
I think that over the years we've just had such an unconscious approach to what it is that we're doing in organisations. I think we don't wake up to make bad decisions or ineffective human decisions. I think we don't know what we don't know. And we've just been such unconscious leaders to a large degree, and getting through the day-to-day business and forgetting that a lot of what we do is about human behaviour. Getting someone to purchase something is a human behaviour, and we had been working on that for many, many years in the marketing realm, but getting people to work in a team and to be innovative and to make complex decisions under pressure, all of this was fairly, bland in its approach, I think, to what we were doing in organisations. And now everyone's very interested in it, and I'm really grateful that people are. And there's a huge, huge amount of people interested in the work, and there's great authors out there, and I think that everyone's doing something amazing. So it's just a matter of getting the stuff that's sticky and applicable to the organisation that you're in. So that's what we do.
Interesting. Yes. So tell me, what's something that most people don't know about you then?
Oh gosh, I teach a lot, and I'm out the front of people a lot, but I know this is going to sound weird, but I'm incredibly shy. Like
You did nearly hyperventilate when you realised today's interview was not a podcast without video.
True, I did. But I think it's just about, it takes me a little while to warm up to people in terms of my own comfort. If you say my role is to share learning today, I can play a role very well, but that's very different to getting to know who I am. So I can tend to be shy. I don't mind crochet. That's people never guess that about me.
I did not guess that about you.
I can crochet,
That
and
is
I
going
really
to go
like
down.
it.
Yeah, there we go. Can you crochet me something like that?
Maybe the nice bikini.
Yeah, maybe not. I was thinking like a scarf. Anyway.
But yeah, people don't know that about me. So
Wow.
Yes.
And you've also gone to Richard Branson's island as well.
Yes, yeah.
How was that?
That was really interesting. Yeah, it was an opportunity that came my way, which I'm very grateful for, and met some amazing entrepreneurs that were there as well. There's about 35 of us, and we got to talk about, the future of business, the future of the planet, and share 5 days with each other, as well as Sir Richard popping in to say hello and talking with us and meeting some of the entrepreneurs that he's helping in the British Virgin Islands. So it was very, very good.
Amazing.
I feel really blessed. Yes.
Love it. So if you could have dinner with 3 people, whether past or present, who would they be and why? Can't wait to hear the answer to this.
Well, I had to think about that. I would love the opportunity to speak to my grandparents and say to them the influence that they've had. I don't think we're very good when we're younger at articulating to our grandparents or our parents how much of a positive influence that they've had on us. And so I was thinking about, I thought there's 4 people, they're extraordinary people, but I don't think we articulated that very well to them. And I think I've got a bit of all 4 of them. I'd love to be able to say, cool, it's because of that I can do this, and have that sense. But the other people I'd like to have at the dinner table would be some really influential mothers with or fathers who have big social media presences, to be able to take forward some of the ideas that I've been tinkering with. I don't know who they would be, but someone influential that would be willing to hear the ideas and get behind them, I guess. So
what's been your biggest achievement to date then, either professionally or personally or both?
I don't shy away from big, hairy, audacious goals. I haven't, I've had a few, but I think that it was a big deal for me to become a mother. Like, I wasn't one of those people who always felt I wanted to be one. I didn't have that desire, I guess, to be a mother or a parent. I was very sort of self-centered for a long time and very focused on my career. So when that happened, I wasn't really as prepared for it, I guess, as others might have been. And I am so grateful it's happened. And it's been a big achievement to get out of my own way and learn to be present and learn to be a mother and learn to put someone else before myself. It's been really hard because she came along. I was 44 when she came along. So, it's been when you're set in your ways at that age, and so it was a bit harder, I think. Probably hard for everybody, but for me it was particularly hard. And I think that's a big achievement. Yeah, I'm still struggling though.
So what is it like building, because I call you a parentpreneur because you're raising a business and a family at the same time, which I think is stupid. So, because you're trying to raise two massive things at the same time. So how do you find that life?
I think I'm really very, very lucky. My husband Simon is a partner in life, so we have a shared collective responsibility to pretty much everything we do. We're both business owners, but we share some of that space and we share the parenting space. And I've got my family around, so I'm very blessed there. So they can help out as well. And my daughter's really proud as well. We don't talk about our businesses as work. We talk about them as value that we bring to the world. And so she thinks that, she's got parents creating value, and it's not in competition with her. And we've involved her since she was very young. She used to travel with me. And so she understands and has some sense of what it is that mummy does. And so it's celebrated in our house, and we don't it is a juggle sometimes, but we share that juggle and we share the pain that comes with it. So, and we are very, very lucky to have businesses that can flex around our lives though. We're not delivering professional services for a set time period, so we can have different time slots and put her first and then do business around other hours. So that's a good thing. Not everyone has that capability, but we've sort of created a work and life home and work has become life. So
it's a work-life blend, I call it.
It is. It's a nice blend. It's a really nice blend. So
for people watching, what would be your biggest piece of advice for parentpreneurs with that side of things?
I think we're really critical of ourselves as parents and business owners, and we're hyper vigilant to making sure we're always doing the right thing and being the best we can in all the spaces. And I think we just can't always be the best. And when we aren't the best, we just have to forgive ourselves and understand it and be okay with not being okay sometimes. And I remember the biggest piece of advice ever given to me was, think you can, think you can't, either way you're right. It's the story you tell yourself that matters. And I think as a parent and a business owner, you've just got to tell the right stories to yourself so that you can keep the energy up or keep going, or learn to rest when you have to rest, or learn to forgive yourself when you make mistakes and learn to bounce back, learn to learn and unlearn. And all of those things have been the stuff that's, held us in good stead. So
you are on a really big mission. So tell us about your mission, and what if you had one wish for your mission, what would it be?
I have seen some incredible work done in organisations around human behaviour and getting teams and leaders to be more effective, and I think it's stunning work, and it's been done by many great people, and I certainly stand on the shoulders of some really amazing people who do great work. And I think it's wonderful, and I see it in the corporate world where there's this mechanism of, money is paid for consultants to deliver a service around, human behaviour, which I think is wonderful. But I look at the areas of Australia that can't afford it, and they so desperately want it too. And so how do we get information out to parents or teachers, for example, or to regional Australia, where they can't necessarily afford the big corporate spend that happens in this space? So I'm pretty keen to kind of flip that and take what we've been doing for many years and make it accessible and scalable and affordable to parents and teachers in particular. And the reason why I want to do it in that space is I think that the relationships we have with others, because we're a social species, are everything. And it really matters who we hang around with and what we do. But if we think about our little people, who wraps around them? Well, who wraps around them is a parent and a teacher in that younger years space. And I've been working with teachers for years, and they've sort of tell me stories about the parents and how they're a struggle. And then I talk with parents and they tell me about teachers and the struggle they have with them. And I think, gosh, the most important relationship for a little person is their relationship. So I chatted with others a few years ago, and I said that everyone's talking about making the planet better and having a better humanity. Well, what better place to start than the relationship between parents and teachers, and bringing them together and building a bridge between them and saying the world could be better. We could change humanity if we formed partnerships and wrapped them around our little people. And I don't mean the system, I don't mean the school, I mean just the one relationship at a time, and then just build that connection so that little person knows that those two people, the parents or the caregivers and the teachers themselves, really matter to them. So I want to bring our work to them, but I want it to be really accessible, affordable. So we've embraced digital technology, and we have purchased an amazing platform, and we've been working really hard to take our work and put it into animations, and we're nearly ready to release.
Exciting.
Yeah,
so what will it look like in 3 years' time with this?
I would like to think that it's in the hands of anyone who wants it, in terms of accessing it sort of affordably, you know, $1 a month or something like that, where it's really, really kind of easy to get hold of. I'd like to think that the government has got the information and is rolling it out and supporting it with, you know, schools or family groups. And I'd like to think that there's a bunch of teachers and parents who go, I'm just doing it better because of this information. And I'm just so grateful for that. That would be big. I almost feel like teary thinking about it.
So what will the platform do? Like, how will it bridge that relationship?
I think it will. I can't even speak anymore. I'm crying.
I know how passionate this woman is. This is why she's here today, because I want to share your passion and why you're doing this, because it's actually really hard. Like, we've had many a conversation about it. It's really amazing what it is, but I want you to share so people know exactly what this software is going to do.
I'm allowed to have a tissue.
Okay, we'll pause and we'll get a tissue. All right, so we've composed ourselves. So you are so passionate about this. So
yes,
let's keep going. Where were you at?
Look, I have spent the last couple of years working with teachers, and they are so incredibly stressed, both systemic and self kind of stressed, but they love what they do. They love the kids, but are wrapped around them is all these pressures that, you know, aren't probably going to go away, and it's hard. A lot of jobs are these days, you know, because of the pressures we place on ourselves and the systems placing on us. But when we share with them a little bit more about how to meet some of their own needs and how to access those in social groups that of support within the schooling system or within the school structure, they respond really well, and they're incredibly grateful for the ability to be able to turn on their own sense of self, to regain their own agency and realise they can do it. They don't have to wait for the system to do it. They can have a voice if they want to within their environment, and they can get themselves, you know, re-engaged. And when you share with them that these are the same needs that parents have, they start to get an understanding that, you know, parents are just as stressed as they are, and it is hard communicating with parents, and parents' ideas of schooling are shifting and changing, and it is a stressful environment, but it doesn't have to be if we have a deep respect for each other's differences. We all talk about diversity, but, you know, doing it is difficult, and accepting people who are different to us, particularly the parents of some children that they teach. But I think together it's got to be better, you know. If we could just support each other, it's just got to be better than it is now. And I know for myself, you know, some of the scariest places I've been for myself is just walking into the school grounds of my own daughter. Not because they've made it so, but of the story you tell yourself, or the willingness to fit in, or whatever it is that's going on for you at the time. But also there's a voice inside of me going, I just don't want the system to come at my daughter. I want to partner with it. I want to be part of the journey of learning. And learning doesn't happen at school. It's set from when we're really little, you know, learning is a lifetime. And I think there has been a large degree of abdication. We want to be in the workforce as parents. We can't wait for them to go to the school gate and, oh, thank goodness school's on, you know, I can get on with my life or whatever it is. And we have to do that, obviously. And yes, you know, that's an important part for parents to play. But I think there's got to be a space where we can talk about what we could do together better. And I don't think there's been that platform to have that dialogue. I don't know all the answers, but that's the point of raising the conversation to say, if parents and teachers could work together, if there was a way of us collaborating around mechanisms of the school, and I don't mean raising money for the fete, or I don't mean, you know, going to the PNF, I mean something a little bit deeper than that. What would that be together? What would it look like if we had social impact labs in schools that were parents and teachers collaborating and to make their little environment better for their little people? So that's what I want to play in that space. I want to test it. I want to see what happens. And I think that's where we're going to get some really sincere engagement. I'm not the parent that wants to turn up to the PNF. I want to add value to my daughter's life, but I want to do that in collaboration and in partnership, and what that looks like is what I want to explore. And I have a suspicion there's other people out there like me.
Yeah, definitely.
So I kind of want to find them and say, well, if we could all get together and support teachers, and what would that look like?
So, and when you're talking about what you're trying to achieve, you've worked out a way through software to make that easier. So tell us about the software, because it's kind of like Facebook, isn't it? But not like Facebook. So it's just, you can put a collaborative group of like a whole school and their parents all in one sort of group, and they can converse, and you can put resources in there.
Yes, it was our clients who said that it felt like Facebook to them. In 2017, we took about 260 parents, teachers and workers into the platform for a test, and they said it was like Facebook but no ads, and they were all there they all had a purpose for being there, and the purpose was they all wanted to learn to be better humans. So that was the collective purpose, and when they were there they knew they could access our resources, but more important than that, they could access each other's resources, because it's like Facebook in terms of you can upload your own stuff and share. We're just not the fonts of the knowledge. And so people were sharing, you know, we had police officers who were sharing techniques that they learn at work, and then we had parents... Like how to put your kids to bed? Yes, exactly.
So they stay there.
And we had sort of, you know, like we had, miners sharing stories about, you know, why it's so painful for them to be a fly-in, fly-out worker, and then we had, you know, teachers sharing with them, or, you know, what, you know, you might like to think about this, or you might like to think about that. So it was a collective sharing around just how can they be the best version of themselves for their team at work or for their family. That was the common theme. And then we just brought in, you know, information from science, or, you know, practical application or integrated works from others to add value to that.
So what you'll see is a post and people are commenting on it, but then your team will actually observe what's going on there, and if you'll provide solutions and ideas and tools to help that conversation. Is that what you're saying with this software?
Absolutely. Or we might see where the heat is. So just say there'd been 10 posts of the same piece of content. So it might have been about the future of schooling, for example. We thought, oh, that seems to be a hot topic. So we would cluster more information around it, and then start to do webinars on the future of schooling and talk to experts on the future of schooling, and then add more value to what it is that we're interested in.
So it's kind of like being able to have a conference, be able to have meetings, all with like-minded people to make themselves better humans.
Yes. And cluster in mini groups within groups and communities within communities. So, It's
it sounds like there's no bullying. There's no.
No.
It just sounds like
it's fairly strict protocols when you come in, but we've noticed not many people read the protocols because they don't need them. They've arrived with the common purpose, and the group helps each other out.
Wow.
So it
sounds like the world that you want to live in online.
Well, I think it's a nice place for them to learn. It's not, you can definitely have set learning there, like we can structure a learning plan, if you wanted to have something fairly structured to learn, but it's the organic stuff that people seem to respond to the most. Or, one of our clients might post an article about, showing empathy as a leader, and 3 or 4 people will comment, and then someone who comes in who's got a degree and specialised in that, but who's currently, working as a project manager for a coal mine. And you just go, oh my gosh, and they spring to life and they add all this information and the people go, wow, and then they start following them because they become,
so it sounds like a bit like LinkedIn, Facebook sort of combined,
yes,
but more community-based, more closed, more private, more...
We can contain our own intellectual property, so it's not sort of shared out there if we don't want it to be, but we can make sure there's a very good purpose for coming in first. And we can form collaborative partnerships before people arrive. And they have a relationship with us before they get there. So we've usually met our clients face to face and done work with them first. So by the time they onboard, they know exactly why they're there, and they know why others are there. And then we just slowly introduce them to other networks. So
sounds amazing.
It's I'm hoping so. I still feel like we're still testing, definitely, and our clients are giving us feedback all the time. So it's very transparent about what is working and what isn't, but that's been the beauty of the last couple of years, to test and pivot and try and work out what it is that they wanted from the platform. So
because you've got clients all around Australia at this point, in mining and all sorts of things, but your main passion is this parent-teacher relationship.
Yes, and the reason why it's also come up, not only is it important to me personally, but it's they are telling me. So I will meet, say a nurse, and they might be learning about how to be a better team leader. And then eventually, and they're learning about human behaviour, and 90% of the time they will say, oh, this information, so I showed my teenage son last night the animations that were online, or, I had a much better conversation with my son because of, and you think, wow, that's amazing. And then you meet, someone who's, say, from, like a mine site, a father who says, this information's awesome, I think I'm using it for leadership for sure, but gee whiz, my relationship with my wife is better because I did blah, blah, blah. And I think, oh gosh, the common theme is human behaviour, but they're taking it home.
And implementing it in all aspects of their life.
All aspects, because it's an integrated information, and particularly important for regional areas where people are stressed in the agricultural space, and they're learning it because they're a teacher, but they're part of a wider community that's also struggling with, say, mental health in small towns, for example.
So it sounds like it's got all of the things that people are looking for, which is community, collaboration, support, but also self-development, like really great tools for personal
and simple tools that they can, like most of our information, we've worked out how to take complex science and make it into 2 or 3 minute animations.
Wow.
And so they feel it's accessible. There's no big words. They're not afraid of what they're learning, and they learn something and then go, wow, what does that mean for me? How do I engage with it? How do I then try it out at home? And then before you know it, they're embedding it, and you just think, that's pretty cool. That's really cool. So
if you had one wish, what would it be?
I left education nearly 20 years ago, and I remember saying at the time, I really would like to add value to the system, but it was bigger than me, and who was I, some Pollyanna, and to say, hey, I think we could do this better. But I remember saying, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do something in the world, and I'm going to find the corporates that then help me reinvest back in schools. And I think I'm just about there. So it's been 20 years later, it's been a big vision, but I'm working with some substantial corporate clients who are just the most amazing organisations, and I think they want to make their employees' world's better. And so I think if, we can grab some of their kind of social responsibility, funding, and then, say, okay, let's set up some parenting projects and some social impact projects in schools. I'd love to see schools with social impact labs where it's private money. So it's not beholden to government, but it's a freedom in that for parents and teachers and the school leaders to collaborate over some real challenges that they've got in their environments. But it's afforded because the corporates are really proud to support it. That would be my big wish, to convert the money, flip it around and help out schools and parents. So
Close. Is anyone watching that wants to invest in helping this get to our schools? I'm a mum, I need this for my school too. Come on, I think every parent watching this would be wanting this software in their school.
I hope so. And every teacher wanting to learn more. What we do in organisations is we go off for a day and we expect everyone to know stuff after a day. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah. It's just change the world in one day.
Yeah. So we'd rather people go on a journey with us for 6 months, 12 months, and go on a journey with us and really learn things well and apply it. Make mistakes, have a go, ask more questions.
Yes.
That's how you really learn.
Yes.
Not one day dip in and then I see all of this, bastardization of great work because people have only done a day, don't really understand it, don't have the depth, and then suddenly good stuff is watered down or good stuff doesn't get traction because we then go on to the next big whiz-bang idea. And I'd rather have the depth and offer some depth. So that's what we're hoping to do, offer the depth and the journey, the longevity, and like you said, a community to learn with. So
I can't wait to see where you are in 5 years' time with this.
Oh, thank you.
I think it'll be a year's time, but we'll say 5 years.
It's slow. It feels very slow. Oh. But it's been a long time coming.
It's like a cha-cha, I say, business.
Yeah.
2 steps forward, 14 steps back.
Yes,
no.
Yeah. And I don't think anyone's made it big quickly, really.
No,
I think
most
there's
of us
stories.
are 20 years overnight success,
Yeah, there's stories that it's quick, but it isn't really when you track back.
So I know from our conversations, I realised afterwards that I've actually had that nervousness to talk to my kids' teachers. Like, I don't know why, whether it's because, we were always scared of our teachers when we were little and we had that respect, but it's sort of, as a parent, you feel uncomfortable approaching your teacher, but you kind of, when you do approach them, you can feel that they feel mutually uncomfortable with you as well.
Yes.
And it's so interesting that you've said, the most, because they spend just as much time with your children, if not more than you, because they're sleeping most of the time that we're with them during the week.
Yes.
It was fascinating to actually hear you say that, because you do realise, wow, it is almost like having a third person a third parent realistically in your life that is really impacting your child.
And I think what they're saying to your child is really important. Well, it is important to me, like they're making value statements or, judgments and I'd like to know what they are so I can support them if I agree or if I disagree, to be able to say, oh, that's not kind of how we have that value. And I know you put your child into a school and they're very good at telling you what the values are of that school, and you usually go, okay, those values align with our family as well, but not always. And I think that's a struggle, and I think it would be nice to be able to talk about when they don't quite match so that you can talk about them. But also, I don't want the teacher to, for example, to take a year to discover that my daughter, for example, has got quite a scientific mind. I would like to tell them that already and just say, this is what she's presenting with, and this is what we're particularly proud of, and this is the direction or route we'd like to take, and is that something you'd be open to as well? Or I don't want them to sort of have a preconstructed, cognitive bias, for example, around, say, she might have a teacher in the future, for example, that believes that little girls should, sit still and be polite always, no matter what. But what if she's presenting as quite assertive and strong, but that's not what they believe is right for her? Well, I want to be able to partner with them on that and say, well, actually, assertiveness is something we're really proud of in her. We don't want her to be rude, for sure, but we'd really love you to be able to kind of, nurture that in her, because that's a strength we believe that, she's presenting with that we would love to help flourish. So, and I would love the schooling systems to turn around to parents like myself and say, what goals do you have for your daughter? I remember feeling really angry about 2 years before my daughter started school, and I couldn't work out what the anger was about. And it was because I had to give her up to a system, and I didn't really fully understand the system. What is it? What is this thing we're doing? What is it they're learning? Why are they learning it? And what I really deeply appreciated about the early childhood space is they do have some really good ways for parents and teachers to collaborate. You go into the daycare centres and they've got all of these new regulations around forming partnerships and asking parents what they want from their children at that early age. When you get to the school system, that sort of isn't quite as good. So I just would love people to say, instead of waiting till the end of term, which to me is a lag indicator, not a lead indicator of her success, and then only being a 15-minute, dialogue around her, I'd rather be able to have some time to collaborate. Now, of course, teachers don't have time, so how are we going to do this? Well, this is part of the challenge that we should talk about. How do we create this time in a way that's, more sincere than ever before? And schools are adopting technology and you're getting much more information from them, which is amazing. The teachers from my daughter's school were sending photos at 11 o'clock last night. I think that's a couple of things. I think it's extraordinary that they would be willing to do that, and I'm very grateful for them. I then go, oh my gosh, why aren't they sleeping? How could I help them sleep more? There's all sorts of things that went through my mind, both positive and negative about that. But at the end of the day, I was deeply grateful for what they were sharing, and I think that's never happened. Didn't happen for us when we were growing up. Our parents never had that. They had the newsletter once a month, if that. And so I think there's lots of things that are happening that are wonderful, but we often do what we think is right instead of asking what people want. And I think that parents want a voice to say what it is they want from schools. And I think teachers deserve a voice about what it is that they can do better themselves. And I think the system is doing the very best it can as well. This is not a system blame at all. I don't think there's Director Generals of Education that, wake up and, want to piss everyone off. They make the sincere decisions with what they know at the time. I just think we all have to start talking and listening to each other a little bit more and forming collaborations around the problems at hand, and then working out how we can all solve those solutions together. And I think there's great stuff happening in business that schools can benefit from. I think there's great stuff happening in schools that business can benefit from. It's a bridge building exercise, really, and then getting people to open up from there.
So I know that, I know you quite well, and I think one of the misconceptions about you is that, you're this neuroscientist and you're constantly analysing everybody. Is that what you do with me? No. How do you deal with that, though?
Look, I'm not what people often give labels to me that, aren't there and I don't deserve. But basically, I am like everybody else in terms of I love to read and I've read a lot. I love to learn and I've learnt a lot, and I'm a ferocious learner and I'm a fast learner. But more than anything, I'm an applier. So just about everything I've read and everything I've learned, I've had a go at. And I've made massive mistakes, and I've learnt from those, and I've tried really hard to instill those lessons as wisdom. But, I have trained sort of neuroscientists, I've trained professors of education, and all of them go, oh my gosh, I've learnt more from you than I have from blah, blah, blah. I'm not an academic, I'm not qualified. I am really streetwise. I've given it a good shot in my life, and the results speak for themselves. I haven't had a website in 20 years in business, I've never really had to advertise, which is great. My reputation precedes me. I love to do the very best I can for the client, and I love to get results. And if it doesn't work, I work it out. So I'm just really good at applying, and I can learn complex things, and I often don't give myself enough credit for that, but I can learn very complex science, and I just have this ability to be able to flip it around and make it really simple and understandable for the masses. So I'm an interpreter, I think. That's what I do. Interpret and then educate it, and then working out why people can't get it yet. And
Working out ways that they do
ways they can, you know. And I think it comes back to being a primary school teacher. You know, you'd have a big class and you'd teach a concept, and some kids would get it, some kids wouldn't, and it was your job to make sure everyone got it. And so that's what I would do. I would just keep working out ways. So that's what I do now, except it's with big people.
I'm sure it was way more fun with big people. Well, thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
And I wish you all the best. I cannot wait to see where you are in
Thank you.
1 year's time. But, you know, however long it takes you to get this massive thing off the ground that you're trying to achieve. I wish you all the best. And I think it's absolutely incredible what you're trying to achieve. And I can't wait for it to be rolled out to all schools, especially around Australia at least, if not the globe. So thank you so much for having a cup of tea with me today. If you'd like to see future episodes, don't forget, turn on the notification bell so you never miss out on a new episode of Cup of Tea with Bree. See you next time.